Welcome back to Pre-Algebra, Chapter 4. I switched it again. Chapter 7, Section 4 in this book. My dyslexia, this just went flip in my brain. Sorry about that. Okay, so we are learning about the percent equation. Now, if you've been watching these tapes in order, you know I taught it to you 3 sections ago in 3-1. But your book tries to show things very incrementally, a little. I have found over my decades of teaching that I think kids do better seeing the big picture and then breaking it down. It works with science, it works with math. I think our brain really likes the big picture before seeing the details. So I don't teach it exactly like the book. I sort of teach the end of the story before the beginning, and then we keep working toward that end as we learn little bits and pieces. So read your book, but you'll notice it is not going along exactly with the way I'm teaching it, because I started in the very beginning teaching you the percent equation, which is over of equals percent over 100. Now, I didn't mention this before. This percent you need to think of as a unit. It is not. Some of you on your calculator, you have a button with that symbol on it. Do not touch it. You'll get the wrong answer. That button, pretend it does not exist if you've got the percent button on your calculator. We're not doing this. This is just a unit. So they'll tell us what that percent is, and we just write that number without that on it where it goes. Where did I leave my marker? Here it is. All right. So the first problem in your book says there was an asteroid that passed 32% of the distance between us and the moon. So it was an asteroid that went between us and the moon. It was closer to us than the moon. So how close was this asteroid? And do you know what? It's happened a bunch since then. I've followed this thing. It's the nasa.gov space weather site, and I get their updates every day, and it happens all the time. And I'm like, you know, the dinosaurs, the asteroid, and these things are coming closer to us than the moon, and the moon's not very far away. People have been to it. It's a little alarming, just gotta say. Anyway, okay, so here we have is of equals percent over 100. That 100 is always 100. But you have 3 variables, is, of, and percent. They will give you 2 of the 3, and you have to solve for the third one. So you read it and you figure out which one goes into which part. What is? There is a question word with the word is, so I know is my x. 32%. The percent sign is next to 32, so I know 32 goes in the percent slot. And of is written next to 375,000 kilometers, and that's how far off the moon is. You know, the moon kind of goes in and out, but it was that far on that day. And we want to know how close that asteroid came. We cross multiply and solve for x. Write your cross every time. X times 100 is 100x, and 375,000 times 32 goes on the other side. We bring down what we didn't mess with, the 100, the x, and the equals. We do this on our calculator, 32 times 375,000, and we get 12 million. Now, why is x not alone? It's being multiplied by 100, so we divide by 100. What we do to one side, we do to the other. Those cancel out, and 2 of those zeros cancel out. So x is, it went 120,000 kilometers from Earth. Are you scared? Are you impressed? Probably not. Because here in Georgia and in the United States, we are not very good at thinking in kilometers. So let's convert it to miles. I run 3 miles a couple of times a week. I run a 5K. I really run a little more than 3 miles because a 5K is a little more than 3 miles. But we'll just say 3 miles and it'll give us an idea. So this is our conversion factor. 5 kilometers and 3 miles are basically the same thing, equal to 1. How do you convert things? You write down what you're given, what you know, and that's 120,000 kilometers. You write the unit of what you know on the bottom in the denominator, and you write the unit that you're trying to change it to in the numerator. And then you put the numbers that are the relationship. 3 miles is 5 kilometers. You have a kilometer in the numerator and the denominator, so kilometers cancel out. Not the numbers, just the kilometers. Any number in the numerator part, you multiply. Any number in the denominator, you divide. So do 120,000 times 3, divide by 5 on your calculator, and we see that it came within 72,000 miles of Earth. Well, that doesn't sound quite as scary, does it? A little scary, but not quite as scary as it was. That sounds pretty far. Whew, I think I feel safe. All right, so here's a classic problem. What number is? So which one's the x? The is the x. What number is 16%? Percent is after 16, so that's the percent of 75. 75 is the of, 100 is always 100. We cross multiply. Whoop, whoop. More fun with sound effects. X times 100 is 100x. 75 times 16 goes on the other side. 16 times 75 is 1200. And now we say, why is x not alone? It's being multiplied by 100, so we do the opposite. We divide by 100. What we do to one side, we do to the other. Those cancel out, and really those zeros cancel out. And we get x is 12. Is it reasonable? 12 is 16% of 75. Yeah, that makes sense. I always think, is it reasonable? One time when I was teaching a long time ago in public school, I had a girl who had super long, pretty painted fingernails. And she liked pretty. And she had this little purple calculator where the buttons were jewels. It was bedazzled looking. Well, as she was pushing the buttons down here to do her math, her fingernail was pushing all the weird buttons at the top of the calculator, like sine and cosine. And the problem was something like, what is 8 times 5? And she looked at her calculator, 7 billion. And she didn't know. She didn't think, is it reasonable? So I always remember her. I don't even remember her name, but I can see that calculator and those fingernails going, oh no. That's when it kind of hit me. Teaching is going to be a little harder than I thought it was. All right, so here's another one. This is a car. You're a car salesman, and you get 6.5 commission. You're selling a car that's $21,800. Nice car. Wish I had that. I'm in the market. I had a VW Beetle, and it broke again, and I just was like done with it. So I sold it for $700 to a guy that we ended up having friends of friends. He was a student, and I had taught his friend's student. He fixed it for $20, and it's just riding great. Sold it prematurely, didn't I? But at least it's a blessing to him. Okay, so I need this. So what is, the question word is with is, the percent sign is with 6.5, and of is with 21,800. We cross, 100 is 100. We cross multiply and solve for x, 100x on this side. Multiply those, you get this. Why is x not alone? We divide both sides, mark out the zeros, and x is. So the commission that you're going to get for selling me this new car is $1,417. Can I make payments? Because I don't have that. Okay, what percent of 25 is 60? Here's the classic one. What goes with percent? So that's my x. Of 25, 25 goes where of goes, is 60, 60 is. Now notice, 60 is bigger than 25. It's not the big one on the bottom and the little one on top. It's the is on top, the of on bottom. Don't care if it's big or little. Cross multiply, 60 times 100 on this side, x times 25 on that. Why is x not alone? Multiply by 25, divide both sides by 25, and x is 240%. It's more than 100%. That can happen. We had jobs growth in America last month way more than 100%. It was like historic because we've been having the COVID, and so everybody lost their jobs, and now it's starting to come back. All right, so here's our next problem. Someone spent $9 for a movie ticket, and they want to know $9 is 72% of what number? They're buying movie tickets, and they spent 72% of their money on movie tickets. How much money did they have to start with? Well, 9 is the is, x is the of, 72 is the percent, 100. We cross multiply and solve for x. 9 times 100 on this side, 72x on that side. Divide both sides by 72 and you get $12.50. So that means they spent $9 on tickets, $3.50 on something else. I don't know what else you can get at the movie theater for $3.50. Maybe candy, but here candy's $4. But right now, because of the COVID, our theaters are opening back up, and you can go see all these fun old movies for $5. We saw Indiana Jones, we saw The Avengers, we're going to go back and see Jurassic Park. I'm enjoying the $5 tickets on old movies, actually. All right, come back and we'll do more. This is fun. Math is great.